might be a bit extreme on this one, but I don't think you should marry someone if their family doesn't like you. I would go as far as saying that it's a bit selfish because when you have children in this family, you're bringing them into animosity. It's also selfish on the side of the family, the ones that are not liking the spouse, because they are not putting their relatives' happiness first. We have normalized having in-laws that don't like you to the extent that people think this is normal. It's not. It's unhealthy. It's toxic. Let's talk about it. Hello and welcome. If you're new here, my name is Chidompofu. I'm your personal emotional intelligence detective. Welcome to the Fit with Chido family, where we go beyond physical fitness, striving for mental and emotional fitness. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you get notifications. Today, we're going to talk about things that are normalized in society that are actually toxic. We have accepted these things for so long that we think it's normal. In first place, I want to talk about the in-law relationship. I remember when I was growing up, I used to say, when I get married, I want a husband whose mother is not in the picture. I know this is selfish of me to think this way, and I was a kid. And that was because in my head, I had already accepted that mothers-in-law don't like their daughters-in-law, right? Like it's all normalized. And because they think they should have the front seat in their son's life. It was when I got older that I realized that it's actually not necessary for you to have this rivalry and animosity. And in fact, when you have mothers-in-law specifically competing for this first place in their child's life, whether it's like a son or a daughter, it's usually more of the son. That's a sign of toxicity. It's a sign that your partner was raised in an enmeshed system. It's a sign that there are no clear emotional boundaries. It's a sign that the parent thinks their opinion matters more than their child's happiness. And part of the reason why people have accepted this is we believe that you can't help who you fall in love with. I actually don't agree with this statement. If you hang around someone long enough, you can end up loving them for as long as they are not abusive right from the get-go. This is how abusive people end up with partners, because they're nice to you in the beginning. You get to know them, in quotes, because what they're showing you is a mask. You get to know them and you start to love them, right? Because we as humans connect, we value life, and anyone can be loved if you spend enough time with them. So I think people need to be putting more emphasis on family dynamics as part of their criteria for dating people. Having experienced toxic relatives and how they can bring chaos into your life and can literally ruin a marriage. I've seen this happen to someone else. I think it's really important for you to be aware of someone's family dynamics and whatever toxicity is going on in that family, because you're marrying into it and that drama is going to become your drama. And you need to decide, is this drama I want my children to experience? Do I want to be a part of this? A lot of people realize or decide, I don't want to be a part of this when it's too late. They're already married. They're already with a person. So I think people need to put in more time into analyzing someone's family system. And it's not just the family system, it's how the person is relating to the family. Are they working towards healing from the toxicity? Are they a willing participant in the toxicity? Do they have a victim mentality where they think, oh, I just have to take it, this is family? Because if they are toxic, they're also going to do that onto your kids, right? You don't want that. This is why I say it's quite selfish for you to marry into a family and bring kids into that family, knowing that that family is toxic, knowing that they're going to harm your children in the future, knowing that they've already tried to harm you or they've shown you signs that they don't respect you. It's a different kind of selfish. It's more on the same level of why people would say having kids is selfish. It's like you're doing it for you. you're not really thinking about the future and like how it will affect other people in the future. It's not malicious selfishness where it's like, I want to hurt somebody. No. People really do need to think deeply about family dynamics. I would put that in my top 3 of characteristics I look for in someone, because their family determines what their triggers are, what their inner child is like, what trauma wounds they have. So you're taking on these things as you date and marry someone. And I've seen a lot of creators talk about this. This is probably going to be a split where some people are like, oh, hell no, like love is love. Just pick whoever you want. And then other people actually get it. And I think the people who get it would have experience living in a situation where you're a recipient of in-laws not liking your mother or your father, and how that impacted your own childhood, how you related to your cousins and everyone around you, how safe you felt within your family system, the extended family, and all of that. Note that I am not saying, which I've actually heard a lot of people say, I'm not saying people who have trauma or toxic families should not have anyone marry them or date them. The point I want to stress here is you need to decide your tolerance for certain family dynamics, and you need to pay attention to your partner and make sure that they have actually started healing. Do they have boundaries if they were raised in this toxic family? Have you talked about how much influence you allow your toxic family members to have on your children? How much would they be able to meddle in your marriage? Things like that have to be discussed if you've decided you want to marry someone who comes from a toxic family. That person who's being raised in a toxic family also needs to do a lot of self-reflection, getting to know themselves, understanding themselves, their triggers, their trauma, their wounds. If they haven't done any of this work, it can really be difficult for you and for your future. And on this note, I'm excited to announce that I just published my book, 21 Days to Self-Mastery, on Amazon. It's basically a book where you immerse yourself in topics that allow you to understand yourself, what has been holding you back, what are your emotional wounds, what is your relationship with yourself, your level of self-esteem. Each day has an explanation of the topic and shows you a thinking frame to use. And then there's 3 to 6 questions per day that you get to engage with and that allow you to really understand yourself. The best part about it is I added 10 extra days, so 10 bonus days. It's actually 31 days to self-mastery. You can get your copy on Amazon. The link is in my bio on Instagram and on my link tree, which is also on Instagram as well. The second topic I want to focus on is how we discipline children. I'm not the first person to talk about this. I won't be the last. I just want to rehash and give my own opinion on it. I don't think parents should be hitting their children for this very reason that has been stated over and over, but people don't hear it. And that is, when parents hit their children, there's a hierarchy. There's a level of authority they have over the child. They're responsible for the child. That same type of authority exists in a workplace between a boss and subordinate, but it wouldn't be okay for a boss to hit their subordinate, right? So why would it be okay for a parent to hit their child? Why would you be okay with hitting someone who you share blood with and seeing them cry because you are hitting them? People don't realize that children, especially before the age of 12, their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed. So they don't have the reasoning capacity to say, I'm being hit because I did A, B, C, D. If the punishment you're giving them is not related to what they did, that's just trauma. You're not disciplining anything. You're just putting fear in them. And you think they respect you because over time, they are not going to behave or misbehave according to your standards, but they're not really being themselves. It's just fear. You're raising children in fear, not love, not respect, And you'll soon find out when those children are older, if you don't make amends on that, you'll soon find out that they don't actually respect you. On that note, when children fight back, parents immediately take offense and they say, my child abused me, my child abused me. But you are the adult and you inflicted pain on the child. The child is just trying to survive, right? They're scared. There's some parents who hit their children to the point of almost dying. Like they're hitting pans on the child's head, giving them blunt force head trauma that can cause health issues in the future. If a child fights back, then what else do you expect if they're scared? What else do you expect? Would you like it if someone came to you and started hitting you with a pan on the head? Of course not. It's crazy to me when I hear parents complaining that their child fought back or that they defended themselves or they ran away. Like, you are angry that someone is trying to preserve their life. Are you for real? This is why I say it's not about discipline. It's never been about discipline. It's about exercising control over your child's body. That's what it is. And some parents use their children's bodies to self-regulate and to release their emotions. They're emotionally immature. They can't deal with what's going on in their life. You do one thing that children do. Children are here to learn and make mistakes, and then they unleash everything onto you. This brings me to my third point of something that we've normalized in society, and that is people not defending themselves. I remember when I was growing up, and this has remained true. Every time I see movies with bullies in them, and the person who's being bullied is a physical match. I'm not talking about situations in which the person is significantly smaller. They're a physical match. Someone pushes them against like a locker or pushes them on the ground, and they just like look at them and keep taking it. I don't think these people don't want to defend themselves. I think in society, if you fight back to someone who's attacking you, you become the issue. And we can see this in the way self-defense laws are structured, that there are certain things that can end up counting as an attack and certain things count as self-defense. And I get it. Sometimes it's to protect people and to differentiate between what is actual fighting and what is an attack and someone defending themselves. But I feel like the way self-defense laws are defined, it doesn't give much room for someone to actually defend themselves and not risk getting arrested. I can tell you a story. The details have been changed to preserve people's identity, and I've gotten permission to share this. Let's say I have a friend and she's dating someone, they break up. Let me give them names. So we have Anne and Anesu. So Anne dates Bob first, and then Anesu dates Bob second. So Anne is angry that Anesu's dating her ex-boyfriend. This is kind of weird. So Anne, when Anesu and Bob break up, Anne goes to Bob and says, she's been saying A, B, C, D about you, triangulating. They create like a meeting. They're like, oh, let's meet up, let's hang out. Little does Anesu know, Anne and Bob are going to hit Anesu. So when they meet, they attack her and she fights back, right? Two people are attacking her. The police are called, and when the police come, they arrest both Bob and Anesu because those are the people who were seen fighting at the time. Nobody considers the fact that two people ganged up on one person. Nobody considers the fact that Anesu was outnumbered, she was being attacked. So this bothers me a lot in movies, and this is why I say we are constantly being conditioned, because in all movies, you always see the bully getting away with things, and then the person being bullied eventually forgiving them, like being the bigger person in quotes. And I don't agree with that. I'm not telling you to fight and attack people, but I'm saying that if someone attacks you, do what you can within your power to protect yourself. Don't think that there's anything wrong with you with defending yourself. And also people who say be the bigger person, you are already the bigger person because you're not attacking someone. That other person who's attacking you is already a small-minded, immature person. So there's really not much room for you to extend even more grace, you know? So I think this is super toxic. I don't know why in society we think it's okay. One thing I have noticed is all humans, all animals understand consequences. And people who are violent understand consequences. People who are abusive understand consequences. They might not agree that their behavior is wrong, but if you give them consequences, then they aren't going to be an issue to you. So someone pushing you over and you saying, hey man, what's your problem? Those are not consequences. They're going to do it again, probably. But if you show them that you're not someone to be pushed over by defending yourself, however, is legal, then they're not going to do it again. Of course, you have to pick your fights and see what's worth your energy and what's not. But you should give people consequences for not acting right towards you. I don't believe in being the bigger person. If you're being attacked, you already are the bigger person. There's not much more you can do at that point. There are so many things we've normalized in society that are toxic. I'm not saying everything. I just mentioned the top 3 that I see all the time. And I want you to just think about the thinking patterns I used to think through them and apply that to other things in your life. Question. Get in the habit of questioning things. Get in the habit of asking yourself, why have I accepted this? Especially if there's harm being done, because there's no reason why you should accept things that are harming you. There's so much. So I'll leave that up to you to think about and reflect on. Next week's topic will be a surprise. I know I usually tell you what it is. We'll find out when you listen to the episode next week. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you get notifications. My name is Shidon Pofu. I'm your personal emotional intelligence detective, always keeping it real. See you next time.